There we go. Okay. Okay, students, so thank you for being here on time. We're just going to wait a couple minutes more to give everybody an opportunity to log in, and then we'll go ahead and get started. So we'll be starting a couple minutes, right around 12:05 or so.
Does anybody have any questions for us while we're sitting here waiting for people to trickle in?
Anything?
Nothing. All right.
All right.
Good to meet you, Rebecca.
I guess I can unmute. We're a really small group. Used to be in like groups of 30. Nice to meet you all.
Yeah. So you're doing water as well? You're doing water. I went with water and transportation when I was there. It was great. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. Where are you at right now in the program?
Oh, I'm in a fun place. So I have an undergraduate degree in anthropology.
Mm-hmm.
So they're like, we don't know what to do with you, basically. So I'm in my senior year, basically just doing my upper division undergraduate before I am in the master's classes.
Do you have to take mechanics and materials and steel and all that?
I'm doing that right now. Yeah.
Who do you have for mechanics and materials?
Stillmaker. She's
Ooh.
amazing.
Yeah,
She's really,
she's very difficult. She has high standards.
yes, but she explains it so well.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, she's great. Yeah.
But yeah, no, for sure. Yeah, it's not easy.
No, no, she did not make that class easy for sure.
No, but yeah, at least I'm like, okay, so I'm not getting 100% on everything, but I definitely understand it, you know?
Yeah, we were doing partial derivatives on things in that class. It was pretty complicated stuff.
Yeah. But it feels like one of the first classes where I'm like, okay, so this is engineering, right? Like everything else is like building up to it. And so I'm like, no, these are the things.
I'm not sure if you still have to. I know they were talking about changing it, but I feel like, I don't know, Mr. Maldonado, you might be able to say this, but do you still have to take the steel class for graduate requisite? Is it a requisite for graduation?
I honestly don't remember at this point.
I thought they were working on changing it.
There's a initial structures course, 130.
Yeah, is that still required?
That's a required course. Yes.
Yeah. That's another for real engineering class you're gonna have to work on.
Stillmaker was like, you can take those both concurrently like last semester, and I was like, okay. So I was like, no, I can't. Nobody can do this. It's crazy.
Yeah, that's punishment. That's punishment.
It was really optimistic of her. I was like, thank you for it's very complimentary. This is not accurate.
So it's 6 after. I think we should get started. I want to welcome everybody officially to the Hartman Engineering Industry presentation this afternoon. We're happy to have Mr. Craig Hartman and Christopher Cañada with us this afternoon, both from Hartman Engineering. And they're here to tell us a little bit more about the company, what they do, share with all that with us, and also to tell us about the opportunities that they have available and what they're looking for as far as civil engineering students are concerned. So thank you for joining us this afternoon, and I'll turn it over to them. All right. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you. I'm gonna start sharing the screen, Craig.
Cool. Well, welcome everyone. We are Hartman Engineering, also Hartman Construction. We have a few companies that we have that we'll be talking about today. We also have a company called De Novo Pacific. we started as Hartman Engineering, and we've been building. And so with that, we're going to get going here. We'll do some introductions real quick. I am Craig Hartman. I'm the principal engineer of the company. I'm the CEO. I'm the president. I am the special projects manager, so I get involved on a lot of research and development projects, new markets, new issues, new problems, new regulations. If people get in lawsuits, I'm usually get involved with those too as an expert witness throughout, many different lawsuits. It's very interesting. I am a Cal Poly civil engineering graduate of 2004. And my sidekick for today is Mr. Chris Canada.
Oh yeah, I'm Chris Canada. I recently graduated from Fresno State University over there, 2021. I actually got hired by Craig before I graduated from state. I was actually still taking classes. I passed my EIT about 4 months ago, and I'm an associate office engineer and a lead surveyor. I focused on water resource management and transportation at Lyles College of Engineering. And I really found a good home here at Hartman Engineering. And I think you're going to figure out why throughout our presentation. So I'm going to pass this off to Craig to keep it going.
So our background, a little bit about ourselves. So Hartman Engineering is the third company that I started. The second company, the first one I started while I was in college. And the second one was called Four Creeks. I'm not sure if you guys heard of them, but I was one of the founders of that company. I left Four Creeks 5 years ago to start Hartman Engineering. Essentially, the three companies have all been the same scope of work, but we're getting more and more and more refined based upon kind of like the following that we have and the problem that's in front of us. And so, the first company was started in 2001, and back then everybody thought there were problems, but they hadn't hit us in the face yet, and now they are. And so that's kind of the background of Hartman Engineering, what you're going to learn about today and what we're up to. We are dedicated to creating a sustainable future for our friends and family in the agriculture sector. So agriculture is a large portion of the state's land economy, natural resource, and there's a lot going on in this space that needs attention. And so that's mostly where we're dedicated. That doesn't mean that we don't do other projects as well. So we do a lot of other projects. I'm the engineer for Cal Poly for civil or for water and wastewater. I do land development. I've done a lot of land development. But the people that knock on our door and chase us around asking for our help are the ones that are mostly ag. And so those are the folks that we're on a mission to serve. We're trying to provide clients leadership, innovation, and technology to achieve both environmental and business goals. So let's face it, ag is, a lot of new technology is entering ag at this point. So there's automation, there's AI, there's machine learning, a whole bunch of things, a whole bunch of regulations that are facing them, and they got to stay in business. And so a lot of what we do is show our clients how to survive and how to cash flow and how to evolve and how to change their business models and plans for the future. It's kind of exciting. We enjoy it. So in doing this, what do we specialize in? So nationally, we're known for dairy anaerobic digesters and the bioenergy systems. So we're in multiple states. You'll learn about that. In the pistachio industry, we're known nationally. Most of the pistachio industry is in one state, so I guess we're known locally because it's all in one state. But for pistachio, holder and processing design, permitting, and regulatory assistance, we do a lot of work there. Irrigation and ditch design, we get our hands wet there. Geosynthetic design, so this one, we're probably, top 3, top 5 companies in the nation. And so what is geosynthetic? It's the liner material that's used for waste containment structures. So we're talking about landfills, ponds, wastewater ponds, mining ponds. It's the liner material. And so 3 of us in the company, we sit on ASTM committees, which are the committees that set the standards for the building industry. So we are on that committee, which is fun. It's been a pretty exciting thing to be asked to get on something at that level. I've been really I've met a lot of people through there. It's been kind of cool. So we do a lot of geosynthetic design, when you look at all of these that I just talked about, the common theme is wastewater. So wastewater, is a common theme, and water and wastewater is our backbone. That's what we're known for, and that's kind of what a lot of us do here. We do a lot of other civil stuff, construction, but wastewater is our in general, water and wastewater is our strength that we're known for. And so because of that, we do a lot of water board permitting and regulatory assistance. We get to talk to the water board 2 to 4 times a week. They know us, I know them. I talk to them, with various clients and various arguments and debates and lawsuits. And it's, part of being the professional service in the industry. So, why Hartman, right? You always want to know the why. You got to ask yourself, why am I getting into something? Why am I doing this? Why Hartman? So number 1 is the state of California is suffering a catastrophic, and this is in red, italicized, bold, and underlined so you don't miss the word, water quantity and water quality issues. That's what we're suffering right now. We're facing this, and I'm going to explain as best I can. Number 2, the Earth's climate is changing due to greenhouse gas emissions. I don't want to argue politically on this or not, but things are changing, and there is an entire movement to seek out and not create CO2 or greenhouse gas emissions, and that's one of the things that we do. So the dairy digesters, if you were to look at how many we've done nationally and how much emissions, we're very high on the climate change reduction list in the world, in the nation, for what we've already reduced based on those projects. That's exciting to me. And because of this, we're equipped to assist what I consider the transformation of agriculture. The market, it's transforming. We want to be a leader. We want to show these folks how to make those moves in the near term to evolve and stay in the game with all these environmental conditions. So when you put all this together, we do engineering consulting, we do general contracting. And why do people seek us out? It's because we deliver solutions. So it's a little bit different. We're not trying to get paid by the hour all the time and work by the hour to build, to make a sidewalk or a curb and gutter. Like we, seek to create like world-changing solutions and then sell a lot of those. So we're trying to sell, things rather than time. We're innovators. We have our own laboratories, and we're known for our research and development. So we have a $1 million laboratory. Chris is going to show you the video later. It's in Petaluma that we own. We put our own money into it. It produces a crap load of data literally it's a wastewater structure. So that's why I kind of said that. It produces a lot of wastewater data for us. And we also have a laboratory outside of my door here that we do a lot of solids, like wastewater solids testing to understand how well our wastewater strategies work on our projects. We don't want to just build something. We want to build it, test it, make sure it actually works as we say, or improve it so that we can continue to make improvements. And so obtaining data is important to us. Okay. And when you're trying to make technology changes, you got to have data, and if you don't, you're going to make slow changes in the industry. And we're trying to make rapid changes because we don't have time, folks. And so when you put all this together, we consider this as the agriculture's army. We're a piece of it. We're a piece of, keeping agriculture in the game. And you're going to hear why we believe that's important later on. So the water quantity and quality issue, I want to get into this real quick. So on the left side, That's the state of California. That's the flatland basin, essentially. It's the Central Valley, it's the San Joaquin Valley, and this is a scale of salts. So that's what that image is. The next one to the right is a scale of nitrate in the groundwater. The next item is what I call the chevron curve of sustainable irrigation. And then the next one is just a demonstration of salt in general. So let me start on the left. So the very left, based on the banding here, anything that is yellow, orange, or red is at an issue right now based on salt. And so what do I mean by that? It's kind of like when you eat Chinese food, you're retaining too much salt, you're thirsty for fresh water, you want to flush the salt out of you, right? Because it starts stressing you out. It's not allowing you to function properly. Same thing with crops. And so what happens is if we're using salty groundwater to irrigate with, then we have to go get a freshwater flush. Now we're using more groundwater to hit the same yield. Or if we don't have the fresh water to flush, our yields are going to come down. We're going to stress out our crops. So folks, that's what's happening as of today. Okay, that's how our farmers are farming, and this is a major issue. Okay, and so when you look at the next image, the nitrate issue, well, the state thought the nitrate issue was a worse issue than the salt issue because they started working on that one about 15 years ago, and now they're starting to work on the salts like this year. Well, the nitrate issue, there's more green there than on the one on the left, and so we're going to be talking about that. But essentially, our focus is to make the valley green again. It's got to go green, or if it doesn't, like these guys are going to go out of business, and we're not going to have ag. So we're trying to make the valley green again, just like the VEEV on the Fresno State helmet. We believe in that, and that is a big priority for us. And so why is it turning, why is the water quality going down? So fundamentally, the image to the right is the best way I can explain it. So the issue at hand is compounding. Okay, so the salt shaker is the minerals that comes from the hills, from the rain, from people, from animals, from food processing, wastewater in general. It's concentrating the salts. And so the glass represents the groundwater in the basin. So we've had drought, we're not using our groundwater, we're not managing it correctly, we're depleting the groundwater. So the water in the glass is getting less and less, and the salt shaker is going faster and faster, equaling a compounding issue of which the concentration of salts are exponentially going off the curve. So that is the problem, folks. That is what we're up against, and we're trying to solve it. Next slide, please. So how are we trying to solve it? In many ways, we do have a project going on at Cal Poly. So they have this problem right now. They have farmland. They have, it's almost like a little city, and they're building, they're like doubling their housing on campus, and they're going to add like 40% more students, and there's no water in the area. So what's the solution? Well, it's something I pitched them as a senior project 16 years ago. So what are we going to do? Instead of putting fresh water on irrigation of the crops and the landscape, we're going to put that into the new dorms. The new dorms, we're going to accept their wastewater. We're going to treat it in this wharf, which is a wastewater reclamation facility. Then we're going to store that water and apply it in a way that we do not pollute, and we keep Cal Poly's land green, according to the scale model that I showed you. And so fundamentally, this is something that we're doing, on a project of this scale in a small little city, and we're doing it in many, many other places as well. Next slide. So another, aspect of this is the digesters. Yes, we do a lot of digesters. We're good at them. Fundamentally, they are part of this whole, water quality, water quantity item that we're working at. They're working on the nitrogen side of things. We have a video for you to kind of explain this. Chris, can you hit it real quick? And then after the video, I'll get into it.
farms have a crucial and essential role in being a solution to climate change. I really appreciate BMW's willingness and collaboration in helping us create a viable farming system.
Renewable energy is a key component to the sustainability strategy at BMW. The partnership with Strauss Organic Dairy Farm through the Low Carbon Fuel Standard program is helping make this a reality here in California.
Collaboration is essential to creating this model of a farm to electric vehicle pathway.
The Low Carbon Fuel Standard program provides incentives to automakers to partner with renewable generators to bring more renewable energy to their electric vehicle drivers. Together, through this partnership, Strauss and BMW earn credit revenue, which we can use to support our sustainability activities. BMW is using our part of the LCFS credit revenue to provide incentives for drivers who participate in our smart charging program in Northern California.
The Strauss-BMW partnership is allowing Strauss Family Creamery to invest time and resources to investigate new important methane biodigester technology that overcomes traditional barriers that have inhibited small organic dairy farmers from adopting this technology in the past. As investment comes in from the Low Carbon Fuel Standard program, organic dairy farmers are able to take that investment and maximize their climate impact by advancing new manure management, carbon sequestration, and methane mitigating solutions.
The exciting thing about dairy biodigesters is that they create a double carbon emission reduction. On the one hand, they capture the manure and methane emissions that would otherwise be released on the farm and go into the atmosphere. And they also can be used to produce electricity, which replaces fossil fuel generation on the grid.
Everything we produce goes up through the electric lines and it virtually goes into electric charging stations for BMW cars. I feel optimistic that this type of collaboration and these type of innovations are really going to affect change.
All right, so that is actually one of our projects. That the technology there is ours. That is actually one of our laboratories. So we can model different things. And the reason we do that is because it's far from our office and we can show people that we can do things remotely. Because it's easy to do something when it's in your backyard. We used to have that in our backyard pretty much. And so we moved it so that it's 5 hours away. So it shows the ability to, do things remotely. And I think that's important. So we do all aspects from project development all the way through the design, construction management, EPC. So that stands for engineering, procurement, construction. And that's important because an EPC contractor and engineer is somebody that can actually warranty their work. I can warranty how much gas the site's going to make. And that's a lot of the reason why we are moving up the food chain, or we're moving across the nation, is because a lot of the people that finance these projects are seeing that our warranties are true and some others aren't. And so we're having great success, being able to do stuff correctly and warranty it. And by word of mouth, we're expanding in multiple states. So we also do research and development. So we're always trying to make our projects better and better and better. We do have a wastewater lab. So we measure, at almost every point along the wastewater train to make sure that each component is working as planned, or if not, we try to make adjustments. And we are knowledgeable about the carbon industry and the credits as well. So continuing on the digester projects, if you look at the Ag Star handbook, on the middle left there is a long covered lagoon. We're the engineer of that project. So I was the engineer on that in 2016. We made the handbook, a national-wide handbook. We're in multiple states, as I was saying, and all of this happens because of the nitrogen and the carbon cycle. And so our belief is that it's necessary for a cow to be in the middle. So if you were to Google, you know, the nitrogen and carbon cycle, you're going to see an animal in the middle. And I'll show you the next slide why that's important. But essentially, the cows are, you know, if there's a dense city, you're going to need cows to continue to move the nitrogen and the carbon cycle if we want to stay in an organic world and not go synthetic. And so I'm going to, you know, make that argument for you in the next slide. You can go for it, Chris. So this slide represents 12 years of data from the UC system based on the nitrate problem. So I'm looking at the circle on the left. So on the left side is the nitrogen inputs. On the right side is the nitrogen outputs. And so what goes into the nitrogen is irrigation water starting at the top. So there's nitrogen already that was polluted. It's in the groundwater. When we pull that out, that's where that's coming from. Atmospheric deposition. So based upon denitrification, we can volatilize ammonia in a wastewater plant, and then that ammonia will come back down and deposit back into the land, and that's where another component of the nitrogen is coming from. The largest component is coming from synthetic fertilizer. So where does that come from? You know, mines in New Mexico, Arizona, Utah. You know, they're mining that in big excavators. They put it on a train. It's petroleum companies that are using a lot of petroleum products. They put that on trains. They bring it to big factories. They refine all this stuff. They make pellets for you or liquid. They put it on more trains, trucks, trailers. They take it and then they get it to your field so that they can produce your lettuce and you can eat that lettuce or something like that, right? So that's kind of where that infrastructure is coming from. As I go around the bottom here, this is the natural side. So we have land applied biosolids, land applied liquids from wastewater treatment facilities, plants, land applied manure from CAFOs, which are confined animal facility operations other than dairy. So swine, poultry, you name it, other than manure. And then the big one is manure, right? So that's why when you look at the nitrogen and carbon cycle, the cow's in the middle, because of the natural side is the cow, right? So they don't really show you the factory in the synthetic side, but you know, the cow is very important. So what's happening right now is we're not using the organic nitrogen because people don't know how to use that for their harvest. It has to be mineralized, it has to be degraded, it has to go through a digester or either anaerobic or aerobic degradation, or you know, composting is aerobic before the harvest can accept it. Similar to when your dog poops on the grass. The plant, or when the dog poops on the grass, the microbes start breaking that down and they're stealing oxygen away from the grass, and the grass is depleted of oxygen, it dies. Once the microbes have done their work, now you have a pile of fertilizer, and then the grass starts using that fertilizer and then it explodes. That's kind of the cycle that needs to happen. And that's why when farmers use dairy manure and they're not digesting it, it becomes groundwater pollution. So we're trying to fix this entire strategy, entire problem in the state. And that's why we're so heavily involved in the dairy industry, because this is the largest portion of the problem. So how do we fix this? Every dairy gets a digester. The dairy nitrogen goes straight to the harvest. It's used 100%. Everything above that I just talked about, we get rid of. So not only is this solution fix the nitrate problem, it tremendously fixes the climate change problem, because everything above on this curve creates a huge carbon impact, not just the cow farts and not just the gas from the dairy ponds. Okay, I'm talking about all the horsepower excavation equipment used for synthetic fertilizer. You can read studies. It's 1,000 to 10,000 to 1,000,000 times worse than a cow. Okay, so we're trying to get rid of what we consider the true carbon problem here and make this whole thing natural once again. And that's really what we're doing. We're using natural processes, understanding the natural world. We're using gravity and a few minor pumps to do all of this. Next slide. Chris.
All right, so it's kind of my turn here. So yeah, so I think you can see why my water resource management degree kind of really found a home here. I became an office engineer right out the gate. So I guess the question might be for everybody, like, what does an office engineer at Hartman Engineering do? So the short answer is essentially everything. From start to finish, the engineer in the office is in charge of from collecting the data to the full creation of the construction set and all the steps in between. So we take the gathered topo data, the topographic data, which is in this raw form you see on the right, which is essentially a point, northing, easting, elevation, and description. And then we take that data and we import that data into a civil 3D model. And then by using feature lines, grading features, stepped offsets, point file importing, we create an existing surface. And that surface is going to be used for the entire design of the project. So from that point, then we review geological reports. And this is important. We take this data and we find out where the elevation of the water table is in the area, or specifically at that point where the digester is going to be. And we need this information because there's a lot of, like Greg said, there's a lot of water board standards and regulations in the state of California where we can't make a digester within 5 feet of an existing groundwater. So, you know, with our factor of safety, we create our ponds to be 6.5 feet. So we use this information from this geological report, geotechnical report, to create a hydraulic analysis and design of the system. So we take that information and we can design a depth of pond based on the volume that we need from the wastewater management plan to determine how big the pond has to be, how deep it can be. And from that, we take an evaluation of what's existing on the dairy, and we figure out what will be the hydraulically critical point. And from that, we design the infrastructure for the entire project. And this is probably the most complicated part of the design here, is that we actually are, like, as a assistant office engineer, you're doing calculations, you're using like the Darcy-Weinbach equation, you're using the rational method, all these things that we did in classes, you will take and you will use out the gate at Hartman here. So we take all that information and we physically design the system itself. So we're doing engineering out the gate from college right there. So that's the hydraulic analysis and design portion. All of these annotations here, I'm going to talk about a little bit later, but that's also part of the office engineering purview there. So after we kind of design this base and we get like all of the elevations of everything scoped out, we're going to create a proposed surface. And it's a similar thing using grading lines and feature lines and like grade to elevation, grade to slope. We create a 3-dimensional model of the proposed surface. So we're going to use this actually for one of the 2 main things that we do as engineers for Hartman Engineering is that we want to minimize the amount of pumps on a system, because it's going to be a recurring cost for the dairy owner. So everything we're trying to do here is to mitigate the cost for the farmer and for construction overall. So when we're doing the analysis, we create these models so we can determine A, the volume of the digester, B, the dirt balance of the digester, and C, just to ensure that we're going to minimize the amount of pumps that we need to get water from the beginning of the process, which would be like a separator, a fiber separator, to the actual digester. So the minimum amount of pumps and the maximum, the optimization of the dirt balance is what we do for when we create the proposed services. We're trying to maximize the dirt balance, and we're trying to minimize the amount of pumps, and that goes all into the design and analysis. And that's kind of out the gate doing that analysis and design with the projects there. And then from there, we go into creating of an entire construction set. So we're going to be annotating, scaling, rotating images, making sure that all of the points and labels and call outs are accurate to the design and to what we're asking for. We make alignments, profile views, all of it's going to be used in the construction set that we're going to send out to a client that's going to be used to physically construct the dairy digester that we are designing. And I think that's one of the best parts about working at Hartman is that because we are an engineering and construction firm, that we get to start the project from raw land, analyze the data, take the topographic information, bring it back, create the services, design the models, make the construction set, give it out, and then in the end, we get to watch the fruits of our labor. So this is actually a good dairy. It's actually on our website. This is called Double Diamond. It's a dairy here in the San Joaquin Valley, but it's a very large dairy. I think it's 10 megawatt, 2 megawatts. 2 megawatts of electricity is produced on this dairy farm, but we get to see it from the beginning to the end. So it's kind of a video of that at the end. All right. Yeah, so I mean, I think that coming from college and having like ideas about environmentalism and water resource management and seeing stats like that at the end of that video really show that, like, you know, it's not far from reachable. You know, like it's something that we do right here, and it's not far from, you know, your university life, and it's attainable. And although that like skills or all that work seems like it might be kind of like unknown to you at the moment, you know, I know that I didn't have a lot of experience with, you know, construction sets or even like Civil 3D. I had like a very basic knowledge of that, and I feel like that's a general like college graduate kind of concept. Like even Cal Poly students that we work with right now that just graduated, they have a very rudimentary understanding of Civil 3D when they walk in the door. But the great thing about Hartman is that we do provide an amazing training program. Yeah, so essentially you're getting a crash course in engineering, Civil 3D, and how Hartman really wants the design of the construction set and the modeling all created. We get that in essentially 90 days. I created my first construction set from nothing in between my 60 and 90 day. I was already doing a construction set. So it's there. The facilities are available for us. It's probably 50 hours. I know that when I first started, it was shorter, but I feel like, Craig, that's probably right. 50 hours is what we have now. Yeah, so we have about 50 hours of material that we have. Like there's a training program that you go through the videos, answer questions. You know, we have a great kitchen manager, Jeff. He answers questions if you have any issues with anything. He's there to answer questions about it. It's a good mentorship program there. And yeah, the working on improvement. It's totally true that it's a team effort in the Hartman world. Like I said, when I started, it actually was way less than 50 hours. And Jeff and I came together and we kind of talked about what would better the company for like everybody coming in, and we really like upped everything, and the training programs are just amazing. They really do help you like get everything you need to know what to do in the first 60 days. And yeah, so the mentoring program and everything will get you set up. And like I said, you're going to go from 0 to 60 in 60 days. It really is impressive. And all the resources are there and available for everybody to, if you have the desire, it's there for you to grab. So I think I'm going to pass this back on to Craig here for a minute to close up the show and see if you guys have any questions after that. Craig, I think you're muted. There you go.
Thank you. A little bit about our company size structure, and where we're going in the future. So we're currently 24 employees. We're a smaller firm. Our main goal is to make an impact in the world. And I hope, if you get anything out of this today, that's like, the one thing that is very important to us, to, everybody that's aligned with our company and that works with us. We're fun, we're engaging, we're a tight-knit group. We operate like a family. A lot of the folks that work here, some of them I've known since they were 3. One of the guys I've known since he was 3. A lot of the other folks I've known. And so our PTO, paid time off, if you don't know about that acronym, it's something that should matter to you when you're looking for a job. So our PTO and our benefits matter. What do I mean by that is I put a lot of strategy into making sure that, we're competitive, that we have premium packages, that we're doing, things different, and that we're flexible. We've been around for 5 years, and it's looking like for the 5th year in a row, we're going to give a free week of time off between Christmas and New Year. So that's kind of, a difference between us and our competitors on top of, what we already give folks. So, because we're such a small size company, we have a very important entry. We have a, we're very interested in growing people, especially at the entry level position. And so we do that with our, HEU, our Hartman Engineering University, our videos, our mentorship. I've probably hired and mentored over 60 folks out of school in my career. I still keep track of everybody. I used to be a college teacher. So West Hills Lemoore, I did that program for two years. They lost their professor, and I stepped in and ran that for 2 years. And so because of all these things, we're able to, know each other more, and you're not just a number, and you're, we're able to make an impact, I feel, on a grand scale. Next slide, please. So please connect with us. Here's our QR code. It works. You can hit it up. You can look for us at hartman.engineering. We do have a Hartman construction website. It's not up. It's hard to find. We're going to put it out there in the webs soon. We're just so busy that we're trying to, not, market too much because we're having to turn away work. We're currently looking for folks out of school or in school. So we have an internship program that's pretty cool. When you intern with us, I consider that as like day one in your job, in your career, and not, I don't consider you as still being a student. And so what do I mean by that? I'm going to put you into the flow of everybody else and try to train you as fast as I can and get you into the game. And then when you go back to school, if you want to continue to work for us, we'll give you computers, phones, and things like that that you need, create a schedule. You can work while you're at school. And then hopefully when you're out of school, you come back and we have you. And then when you come out of school, you're that much far ahead. So that's kind of our goal with what we do with interns. The opportunities, like Chris said, it's pretty much everything. We have field work, we have CQA, which is construction quality assurance. We have lab testing, surveying, design, reports, excuse me, you name it. We'll find your strengths and we'll put you on it. We're looking for about 4 to 6 to 8, probably about 4 to 8 people right now, depending on skill sets or, what, people can do. And so please email us your resumes if you're interested. We'd love to talk to you. P.S. Watch our cool videos. So we put some videos up on our site. And I think, the few that we have up there, they do a really good job of showing the level of skill set that we have and the level of professionalism that we provide on projects. So with that, I think we're moving into the questions. Is that right, Chris?
Yeah, I do want to kind of add something. I don't know if there's any geotechs in the building here in this meeting, but if you're not like into the full CAD situation, like Craig said, there are field work, there's CQA surveying is available. There's opportunities if being behind a computer 8 to 10 hours a day is not your thing. There's definitely opportunity in every aspect of the project. So yeah, I just want to throw that out there to people.
Good point.
Yeah. But yeah, Q&A if anybody wants to throw in.
I had a question about the internship program. I guess it's just a general question really, because it can apply to actual working there. What do you see like a certain skill for like incoming interns that helps either like set them apart or like make them succeed more?
Why don't you and I both answer this, Chris? I think what sets someone apart at the internship level. So I think the major, the reason why we put so much effort, emphasis into like the first 90 days is because it's kind of like, if I said, hey, you want to go to a cricket game, or you may not know how to play cricket. You may not. I've never seen cricket. I don't know. Like I would be lost in a cricket game, right? And so it takes a certain amount of time for you to to jump into the game. And so trying to do some research on your own and figure out how to do that is good. It's rather difficult though. So having some good hard skills and soft skills. Hard skills are the CAD, Microsoft Suite, the ability to calculate, fundamental mathematical equations, use Excel. That's going to get you far. Soft skills. So Chris and I both worked at restaurants. I recommend every engineer to go work at a restaurant. It's a soft skill education that you're going to get at a restaurant. And so having those soft skills is important. Chris?
Yeah, I'm going to go a little bit more specific, and I'm going to say to start off, do the research. If you want to work at this company, I mean, I knew a little bit about anaerobic digesters, but there's a lot of information out there. If you wanted to work here, I would definitely recommend understanding what an anaerobic digester is and how the process works, like just doing a little research on that. But 100% just start with the Civil 3D, like understanding how to import data, create three-dimensional surfaces, modify those surfaces, how to create a layout, page setups. Like, I mean, I know that the majority of people do not have that skill, and it takes the majority of the beginning of your career to even just to learn that stuff. So I think that Mr. Maldonado put in there is a 3D workshop that was last summer. I don't know if he's going to have another one, but if there are any 3D programs, workshops, sign up for them. Take them all for sure. That's the number one thing to do. Anybody else out there? Yeah.
Yeah. So when you were talking about like working with the industry, how do you normally get? Is it just word of get your clients? Like, is it just word of mouth? Like, what's the interface with them like, and like what sort of like do you show them the finances of like how much money they'll save and things like that? Just kind of that whole package.
Gotcha. So I apologize. There's a train coming past me right now. Chris and I are at different locations, so I'm probably gonna have to go on mute. Chris, you want to just give a little short answer, and I can come back and follow up?
Yeah, I think that, I don't know how Craig started it off. I'm assuming that it was like a sales pitch at the beginning, but I think that what's going on now is that our reputation is really kind of taking off, that our quality, I think that what he hit on earlier was the EPC thing, is that of the companies in the valley that, or even the state that can do this project, that we're one of the only ones, if not the only one, that can guarantee the quantity and quality of gas production. So when people are in the market for this kind of product, they want to know that when they make this, I mean, is it going to make the amount of gas that they're going to want? Because I mean, you got to think that these clients are spending a lot of money because they want to get a product out of that. I mean, I don't know, a couple $1 million a year kind of in methane gas production out of these things. And if we can guarantee that for them, and they know that they can get that from us, they're going to come to us over somebody else that doesn't have a guarantee and doesn't really have like the backing of the industry behind them. But Craig can probably elaborate more on that.
Yeah, no, that's good on the digesters. Fundamentally, we're a professional services company, and I like to term it as book of business. So we have a reoccurring book of business of just people that know us, and they come back over and over and over, and then from there it's word of mouth. The water board actually sells a lot of work for us, so a lot of people will get into a tiff with the water board, and the water board will kind of whisper to them, hey, call these guys here. We think that they'll be able to solve your problem. So that's really cool. And then, yeah, I mean, we don't do a lot of marketing or sales. A lot of people, like the entire pistachio industry, we had no reason to get into that industry other than they desperately needed help a few years ago, and they saw what we were able to do on other places. They pulled us in. So, I mean, they pulled us in, and we've been solving a lot of their problems. Chris and I had an hour demo, and we're gonna like do some crazy like 3D scanning and all kinds of stuff. We're gonna change that industry. And so I think what it is like we just have a passion for solving problems, and we have a certain knowledge base, and we're using that in many sectors in the industry to solve environmental issues. But at the CEO level, I think I talk to a lot of like CEOs, because they're the ones that are facing these issues. I talked to one yesterday for 3 hours, and I think that they forget that I'm also a CEO, because I have to run my company, and so I have to like know how to make money out of my company, right? So like knowing how to cash flow things and make decisions based on fundamental financials is important to me, and I try to include that in our analysis as well on the projects, and it's important on the pistachio stuff. One of our clients, they have 2 pistachio plants, and they both have issues, and they're trying to figure out how to spend 50 million and the best dollar per dollar on where to spend it. And so I asked them some questions, and I say, voila, and they say, how did you do that? But it's because I just look at things differently, and I have the knowledge to model everything in certain ways, and quickly get to the punchline. And that's the skill set that we have. And the reason we have that is because we do that all day long. Whereas the pistachio guy, he's only been looking at his facilities for years, and that's all he sees. I see everybody's pistachio facilities. So by seeing everybody's pistachio facilities, or everybody's dairies, or everybody's problems, I get to see all these little different problems, and I have a lot more experience, and we can solve issues faster. And I think that's kind of the best way to explain it. So
yeah, to kind of piggyback off of what Craig's saying, and kind of maybe as like a career idea thing, is that it's a reputation thing, and like water board recommends us because of our reputation, of what we've done in the past. And it kind of goes that engineering is a very small field, And you are your reputation. You are like what you say and how you produce and what you like, how you act in that life, you know, how you act in that professional system. And, you know, like, especially in our field, you know, the agricultural engineering field is an even more small field. So it's our reputation is everything that we have. And we build that very meticulously of how we do it, what our projects are. And that kind of is a huge selling point just in its own right. And it kind of goes to, as an engineer personally, like I will always want to protect my reputation because it's going to go with me forever. And same thing with our company is that that's what we build and that's what we're going to sell off of, that this is who we are, kind of thing.
Okay, great. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Anybody else out there? Ramundo? Nope. Oh.
Yeah, so first of all, well, I thought it was a great presentation from both of you guys. A question that kind of came to mind was like, how would like the farmers basically like fund all or the engineering services you guys provide to them?
That's a great question.
Good question. So
Yeah.
what's happening is the regulatory folks have created what's called cap and trade. I'm not sure if you've heard of cap and trade, and they're essentially charging the folks who pollute in the petroleum side of things. It's more than that, but in general, it's the petroleum. They're trying to, you know, cap the petroleum industry, and they're using those fines, or they're fining those folks almost, and they're using those dollars to pay ag to reduce their carbon emissions. Because what they figured out is, you know, it kind of explained that in that video a little bit, that's the most economical route to solve all these problems. And so, you know, by creating a certain amount of emission reductions on ag, they're going to get annual checks. And then, you know, these projects are like 8-year payback, almost like 5 to 8 year payback. And so then we'll get a bank involved, and then the bank will pay for everything up front. And then, you know, the farmers or whoever, you know, takes the risk will get paid annually. And so, you know, I'm not sure if you're, you know, watching the entire cap and trade industry, but you can go to the budget. Like, one thing that's being paid out of the cap and trade budget is the high-speed rail. And, you know, there's so many other things. I know that's another political, I'm not, you know, I don't want to get into that, but the cool thing about what we do that's different about the high-speed rail is, like, we actually can measure our emissions of reduction, right? We have a meter, and we can say, like, we are reducing by this many tons of carbon, where, like, the high-speed rail can't do that. They're saying we're estimating in the future at some time that we're going to reduce this, right? So, you know, that's one thing that we can argue there, is that we are physically, like, we can measure it and we're doing it and we're high-fiving each other, but that's kind of how it's happening. And I'm not sure if that answers your question.
No, I was going to add something to that. Did we not talk about, isn't there still a grant program going on right now? So, like,
there was, it's kind of expired though, but you're right. That was like the first 6 years. There was a whole bunch of grants that came out.
Yeah, so there was like and then like a private bank comes in, and there's what ends up happening really is that the dairy owner gets the gas, and the bank ends up getting the carbon credits for the emission reduction. Is that kind of a general?
Yeah, I mean, there's a whole bunch of ways to paper it up, but yeah, that's a way to do it. And so, I mean, I would say, like, just in like Tulare County alone, there's probably been, you know, plus $800 million invested in the last 5 years into this industry. And that's one county, right? And so agriculture is getting a boost right now. I know that it's hard to hear that and hard to believe that, but that's just, you know, one regulatory item that's coming after them. There are so many others that are coming after them. Like, so on the nitrogen side, it's a stick, there's no carrot. On the carbon side right now, there's a carrot to make change. On the nitrogen side, there's a stick. And so what we're trying to do is use the carrots that are getting into the, use the dollars that are fixing or that are coming into the industry to solve the carbon side. We're trying to use those to also solve the nitrogen side as well. And so we're trying to solve as many problems as we can with the money that's coming in. And so, it's an interesting thing. The water quantity issue, the whole Sigma thing though, it's pretty bad. And I think the salts issue is worse. So I'm not sure if you've been following Sigma or not, but it's bad. Salts are worse. So what's your interest, Raymond or Raimundo?
Well, I'm currently emphasizing in structures, but I mean, I'm open to more options with if it's either transportation or you guys made me get more interested in water resources. But yeah, so I mean, the valley is very big in agricultural, so it's something that is important to our side. So
we do have structural here. So we have a guy that does structural right now, one guy. So, but we are growing. And if you're interested in more than structural, I think we're a good fit because you'll, like Chris said, what do you learn here? Everything.
Yeah.
I think that's a good point.
I have just posted the California Department of Water Resources. If you guys wanted to look anything up about the Sigma SGMA groundwater management information, just for future stuff. If you guys were interested in water, this is a great one.
What year are you guys? I heard you, Rebecca. How about you, Raimundo?
So I'm a senior. I'm hoping to graduate in May.
Oh wow, good. Congratulations.
Yeah, thanks.
What water classes are you taking right now, or have you taken?
I only took a technical class. It was a 140 hydrology.
Okay, you took the hydrology. You took hydraulics already.
Yeah.
Okay. Huh.
Yeah. So currently taking like foundation and timber design.
Did you take hydrology with Wright or?
I took it with Dr. Lou.
Dr. Lou? Okay.
Yeah.
I took it with Lou. Okay.
I've heard of his name before.
Yeah.
He has like some interesting resume, right? I forget,
Yeah, Dr. Lou does.
Yeah. I had, when I was teaching at West Hills, a lot of my students went to Fresno, and then I hired them I hired them when I was at Four Creeks. And so they would tell me about Dr. Lou.
Yeah, he's a good professor.
That's what I heard.
All right.
Well, good deal. I don't know how much more time we have.
Like 9 minutes? Is it till quarter after?
Yeah.
We have as much time as if the students have additional questions, and if you have the time to answer them, we have this. We can take as long as you want.
Gotcha. I'm good. I don't have my next meeting is at 2, so.
Do you guys have any more questions or?
Yeah, I just wanted to clarify. It sounded like when you were describing the internship, it's a summer internship.
Oh, it's anytime you want internship.
Oh, okay.
We don't like to have like a lot of rules here. So, I mean, Chris might not tell you, but I'm wearing sandals. So,
Oh no.
I've
Wild.
actually only seen him wear shoes twice, and I've worked there for 7 months.
That's amazing.
You just tell us when you want to work. We'll make a program that works for you. That's kind of how we roll.
Okay. Yeah, no, I'm super interested. One of my goals eventually is I would like to work with Engineers Without Borders, like putting in wastewater treatment systems, putting in catchment systems and things like that. So yeah, it sounds like a like a nice fit. So I guess my question is, just email a resume? Do you want any other types of information?
Just a resume, and then we have a recruitment team, and they will follow up with you. We have like our interview process is we have 3 interviews. So I'll see you on the 3rd interview if you make it that far. The first couple are you just get to meet our team. We have some like I'm not sure if you've seen Double Dare as a kid, but we have some some challenges up our sleeve. So be ready. But yeah,
Is there climbing? Was that
No.
Double Dare?
no, they're
We
just
can't tell you. We can't tell you.
we can't tell you. But yeah,
Oh, that's
the whole,
amazing.
Engineering Without Borders, I think we're a good fit for that because
Okay.
a lot of our solutions are like fundamentally using the natural world of which mankind has forgot, right? Mankind's been sold a lot of like mechanical, civil, petroleum like solutions that have got us into the issue we're in. And we're kind of unraveling all those and going back to like UV, solar, gravity, simple, natural, fundamental practices and showing people how those work and cash flow. And it's a cool place to be. I mean, the earth, like UV is free, gravity is free, water, if you can find it, it'll hit you, and so just using what is naturally here, that's our game. And so it's kind of interesting that we get paid to do that. We're like, hey, but it's fun. It's fun to have that as a solution and really be good at it and really, provide the nation with a solution. So yeah, we would be a good fit for you. And our interns, just so you know, what we do is we need to get you into the office for a certain amount of time so that we can kind of get to the point where you can, fundamentally do some stuff. And then once we do that, then we'll create a program with you where you set your hours, but 50% of those hours need to be when we're here at the office. So you can work 50% of the time outside of office time, so that we can kind of be flexible with you. You can work like weekends and nights. We're fine with that. But we want to be available for half the time, plus or minus, not to the minute, so that if we can help you out. The whole COVID environment, working remotely, we've been successful at doing that. We've had interns that have worked in this process for 4 years now. It's worked out great because then when you start your, and I don't like to treat people as an intern. I like to treat everybody like as an entry level, right? And so I think by doing that, because if I treat you as an intern, then I'm going to be like, okay, here's your training wheels. I want to like spoon feed you. Like, I don't want to do that. I want to see like how you come in and how you want to take over the world. And I want to just like, help you fly in that manner, right? These are good questions.
All right.
So let your compadres, let your friends, let your brothers, sisters know about us. Not kidding. we are hiring. We are looking for 4 to 8 people. And why do I say 4 to 8? It kind of depends on all the situations. We're kind of tight on office space. We're going to build a new building. But I think we're going to get to 100 people, maybe 1,000 soon. And you can only grow at a certain pace, right? So we're not trying to grow super fast. We're controlled growth here. And there's just a lot of problems to solve, and we're, we want to get out there and solve them. And so the more people that we can kind of get on this mission, I think, the better. So it's good to meet you guys. Usually we do in person, and we have like some gear or we have like notepads that we'll hand out. Maybe if I can send them, I forget your name, sir, but I can
It's
send,
none.
yeah. Maybe if
I
I
can
can,
bring some by, Craig. I'll bring them by. I know where Maldonado's office is. I'll swing by and
Okay.
drop some stuff off.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. If you have a job announcement that you'd like us to share with all the civil engineering students, please feel free to send it to me. I do that on a regular basis. So we send out announcements on about internships or full-time positions that you have. Just like I hope that you received some applicants from that earlier job announcement we sent out maybe a month or so ago. I hope you did. I don't know.
I'm not sure. I can look at the recruitment.
Okay, because we did share that with all the students,
Gotcha.
for that full-time position, entry-level position that you were looking for earlier in the academic year, maybe a month or so ago, a month and a half ago.
We have two. We received two.
Oh, okay.
Well, we're gonna, I mean, we need more than two, so we're gonna continue
Yeah.
the
No,
spring.
absolutely. The students will tell you, we send out, I send out announcements, I send out reminders to everybody. I try to keep everybody, up to date on all the recruitment opportunities that get sent our way.
Yeah,
Okay.
definitely. We appreciate what you do as well. So
All right.
we need to get a little closer to Fresno State. Obviously, I'm a Cal Poly graduate. I'm the engineer there, so I'm like tied to the hip to those guys. But one thing I didn't tell you guys is we're season ticket holders.
I was about to say, we're there every Saturday.
Oh, okay. All right.
I went to UCLA. I lost my voice.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah, that was a great game. I was there too. Yeah.
We're just at that Nevada game. We're going this weekend too.
Okay. All
We
right.
have a tailgate. We're on the 50-yard line, 12th row. If you ever want to find us,
Okay.
we got
All right.
10 tickets. We got 20 to this next game. So we throw a tailgate.
Mhm.
We've been doing it I've been doing that since like 09, something like that.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
No, well, we're happy to support any of your efforts in any way we can, and feel free to send information our way. We'll continue to share it with our students, and we'll continue to encourage our students to apply.
Wonderful.
Okay.
Thank you, Anna.
It seems like you have a great operation. So thank you. Have a great afternoon.
Yes.
All right. Look forward to hearing
Thank
from you
you.
soon.
Thank you.
All
Thank you, guys.
Bye now.